And with that being said, our first segment of the day is the footage itself that was released by Tucker Carlson. Now, he got 40,000 hours of footage, of which we've only seen a few clips that were being repeated by these media outlets in the Democrat Party for literally 2 years, which means that we haven't seen 99.9% of footage of what actually took place on January 6th, meaning they were pushing an extreme narrative utilizing outliers. And I'll give you an example of what I'm already seeing on the screen right now. Again, I haven't seen this before. There's these idiots here that may or may not have voted for Trump. They may or may not be Republicans, have no idea. They're still idiots because they're breaking windows and they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. They deserve to go to jail and they deserve to be fined so that can all be replaced and fixed and it's not coming out of taxpayer dollars. They're idiots. Now, not everybody stormed the Capitol. The vast majority did not storm the Capitol. The vast majority did not vandalize things. So they pushed an extreme narrative utilizing outliers. And we see this time and time again from the Democrat Party and the progressive left. They'll sit there and use outliers and make that seem like it's a representation of the data set as a whole. In the same way here is, they used a few video clips out of the 40,000 hours of footage, a few selected clips to push a narrative that there is these insurrectionists that were trying to take over the government, vandalizing, harassing, and hurting police officers, doing all these crazy things, of which, again, I agree, shouldn't be doing, should go to jail. They're idiots. They're knuckleheads. Can't be more clear about it. But the vast majority were not doing that. And I'm sure this is what Tucker's going to show here. The vast majority was just peaceful. People probably walking around taking photos, right? Being escorted probably by Capitol Police or being told to leave by Capitol Police. Let's see what he has to say here, or at least show.
These are the pictures you've seen of January 6th. They're familiar because they've been playing on a loop on every media outlet in America for the last 2 years. There's a reason for that. But it turns out there's quite a bit of video you haven't seen. And that video tells a very different story about what happened on January 6th. More than 40,000 hours of surveillance footage from in and around.
Look at that. Let's just go back real quick here. Hold on a second. Well, the one that guy's
More
cleaning stuff up. But look at this guy. They're just having conversations with people. One guy's on his phone, right, wearing a suit, probably works in the Capitol. You got the Capitol Police there. You got police officers. Guy has his hands in his pockets, just shooting the crap with them. Like, yeah, this is pretty crazy, huh? Like, we're standing here. Nobody's kicking us out. Nothing's really happening. God, can you believe the Democrats fraudulently pushing stuff in the election? Whatever it may be, it's freaking nothing's happening. But, totally contradicts the footage that we just saw and that we have seen for the last 2 years from the Democrat Party.
Hours of surveillance footage from in and around the Capitol have been withheld from the public. And once you see the video, you'll understand why. Taken as a whole, the video record does not support the claim that January 6th was an insurrection. In fact, it demolishes that claim. And that's exactly why the Democratic Party and its allies in the media prevented you from seeing it.
Now, if you thought that the government was being overran by a bunch of MAGA supporters or ultra MAGA supporters, according to Joe Biden, wouldn't you see all those people in suits and police sprinting and running, all hell's breaking loose, but you don't see any of that? Again, you would only see it from maybe a few selected clips. It's just amazing the lies that's been going on for 2 years, but we've been calling it out. We knew it was happening.
By controlling the images you were allowed to view from January 6th, they controlled how the public understood that day. They could lie about what happened, and you would never know the difference. Those lies had a purpose. They created a pretext for a federal crackdown on opponents of the Uniparty in Washington.
Our office wanted to ensure that there was shock and awe, that we could charge as many people as possible.
The first thing you notice from viewing the full video record of January 6th is just how many people entered the Capitol building that day. Hundreds and hundreds of people, possibly thousands, over the course of about 2 hours. The crowd was enormous. A small percentage of them were hooligans. They committed vandalism. You've seen their pictures again and again. But the overwhelming majority weren't. They were peaceful. They were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists. They were sightseers. Footage from inside the Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines. They give each other tours outside the Speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile. They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol. They're there because they believe the election was stolen from them. They believe in the system. Here's the man you've heard referred to as the QAnon Shaman outside the Senate chamber. These are not rioters. These are people who wandered over from a political rally.
We will not let them silence your voices.
After the rally, they walked down Pennsylvania Avenue, where organizers had secured a federal permit to hold a legal rally on the grounds of the Capitol.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices.
Again, that's the part that they love to leave out. The man said peacefully. You're going to have some idiots out there that didn't want to do things peacefully, wanted to break windows, wanted to do things they shouldn't do. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. They were idiots. The vast majority weren't. They went there. They had a permit, okay? But none of this is going to be pushed by the Democrat Party because they have a narrative. They have a narrative that we're all racist, bigots, sexist, homophobes, whatever all this nonsense is here. Although we're just American patriots that love this country. We wanted the man to stay in office. Clearly he didn't. Life goes on. But no, life can't go on because they have to lie to everybody and push this narrative. And that's why it's been going on for 2 years. It would go on for another 2 years. Now we're called ultra MAGA, extremists, terrorists, all this other nonsense here. But again, the man said peaceful. Very clear.
Heard.
Once at the Capitol building, things began to get chaotic. Capitol police officers fired tear gas into the crowd. A few at the front of the herd broke windows. Someone opened the doors, and many hundreds of others just walked in.
They're going to make that the story.
Of course, they did make it the story. And at the center of it, the single most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon Shaman.
The so-called QAnon Shaman. QAnon Shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us in this building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Yeah. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him. Shoot him.
It's amazing. Just listen to that narrative and just listen to what I have to say for one moment here. The guy's unarmed and they're saying to shoot him. But yet, when the same thing happens with police officers shooting unarmed black men or just any person, they lose their ish over. They literally, he's contradicting the whole narrative of, we'll just shoot an unarmed person, of which you spent years burning down cities because people were shot by police officers and they may or may not have been unarmed. Or like George Floyd, unarmed and still died. I would disagree with the hands of a police officer, even though he shouldn't have kept his knee on his neck for that long. There's a massive amount of drugs in his blood system. That's regardless of what we're talking about here. The whole purpose of me bringing that up is, again, the guy just said to shoot an unarmed person because he entered the Capitol. I don't agree with what this guy did, by the way, but to shoot the guy is a little bit nuts.
Him. It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley, and the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
The people sitting in the chairs need to be sitting in a jail cell.
Chansley is in a jail cell. He's been there for months. If he was in fact committing such a grave crime, why didn't the officers who were standing right next to him place him under arrest? Until now, no one could even prove that even happened. But it did.
Again, and there's going to be more footage coming out with Tucker Carlson and these 40,000 hours of footage. It's amazing to see that there's just people walking around as if nothing was happening. Nothing whatsoever. It completely contradicts the whole narrative of what we just saw for 2 years. Not saying that there wasn't those vandalizing idiots, trying to watch my language, destroying property again, they should go to jail. The vast majority did not. They did it peacefully, but the footage they try to show us, try to push a narrative, utilizing outliers, contradict something because they want to push a certain something else so that Joe Biden and other people can get in office and they can have a Democratic blue wave, even though we're supposed to have a red wave and all these things.
I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.